Real Tip and Carl. I'm Carl Raven,
And I'm Tip Salcido.
and we are two busy bodies, even when we're not in the training room or in the coaching room or anything else like that. We just spent a half an hour catching up. I mean, we just talked last week, and had a half an hour. We probably
Yeah.
could have talked more about
Yeah.
our wonderful schedules on our supposed downtime, right? Because this is, the first couple weeks of July are supposed to be the chill, like the 2 weeks between, Christmas and the first week after, first second week in January. So yeah, but whew, I just listened to Tiff, and I got a little exhausted. So where are we joining us? Where are you joining us from today? And what parts unknown or?
Back in Cali. I am back in the US. I got back yesterday. And it was I haven't been here in like 6 weeks. So it was like interesting. I've been in the middle of a desert living off the grid for 6 weeks, And so coming back and being asphalt roads and, other cars and, traffic and going 70 miles per hour, all of it was very surreal for me. My first stop is always in Indio, and that's like 2 hours away from the border, but we always stop at Oh No Hawaiian Barbecue. I'm a sucker for Hawaiian barbecue, let me tell you. So we stopped and we ate, and I realized that we don't have fountain drinks in Mexico, like fountain sodas. They're in bottles, they're in cans, but there's like not really places there. I mean, I'm sure there's places in Mexico, just where I live at. There's not anywhere that has fountain drinks. And so that first sparkle of that Sprite hit my throat, and I was like, okay, I'm back. I'm back. So it was great. And then I came home to my house that's been empty. Our neighbor's been parking in our driveway to make it look like it's not an abandoned house, but the grass was a little overgrown and a little dry. And my house plants inside were still alive, which I was pretty happy about. Only one of them was like suffering from depression, but the rest of them were doing fine. But my grass in the backyard, hey, it's dead. So we have to water it and get it back to life. And then the pool was very dehydrated. I told my husband, hey, at least you don't have to worry about the pool being green because it's empty. So it's got half new water in it because it was pretty dry. But all in all, it's not a terrible. I think we've decided 6 weeks is too long. Six weeks is too long to be away.
6 weeks.
I mean,
Mm.
physically I was happy, but the house was a bit dusty and definitely needs some attention for sure.
Can I tell you, yeah, there having fountain drinks makes a difference.
It
It really
does.
does. It does. It does.
And
That
I
do,
didn't
of
even
course.
realize it.
My wife at this point would say, "That's the only thing you just got out of that."
No, it's hilarious. But honestly, I didn't even realize how much I missed it until I was there. And I'm not a big soda drinker anyways, but there's something about, a fountain drink that just makes life worth living with,
So,
yeah,
what's your fountain drink of choice? I
Dr.
guess that
Pepper.
would be my question. My question: What's your fountain drink of choice?
100% Dr. Pepper is what I get 99% of the time if they have it. And if there's not Dr. Pepper, then I will do Sprite. And so, like, Oh No Hawaiian Barbecue, which is again one of my favorite places to go.
Hmm.
There they don't have they have Coke products. And I don't really like fountain Coke, believe it or not. The only place I like fountain Coke is McDonald's, but I hate McDonald's, so I don't ever go there. Um, but there at Ono, I get the Sprite and then I put a splash of the fruit punch high C in it. Just a splash, just enough
Hmm.
to make it pink. And that is like my go-to. But Dr. Pepper, if they have Dr. Pepper, that is absolutely what I'm getting. And
Okay.
if I'm sick, especially if I have a sore throat or a scratchy throat, it's got to be McDonald's Sprite. There's something spicy about a McDonald's Sprite. Their carbonation, again, and I hate McDonald's. But if I really am like I need something to like scratch or tickle my throat, make my throat feel better, it's got to be a fountain McDonald's Sprite. That's my go-to.
I was going to say something, but in case we ever get McDonald's as a sponsor, I'll hold off on it. But
Okay.
but
Okay. I was just gonna say, I would say no to that. McDonald's can kick rocks. There you go.
okay. Well, I'm just saying, the spiciness may just be because that certain place hasn't cleaned their dispensers in a while. Anyway, so but yeah, but
Probably, probably.
I didn't grow up with soda in my house,
Mhm.
and my well, I had both grandmothers that lived with us were they're both diabetic. They both died of diabetes, and so we didn't have a lot of sugar stuff in us. When we got Kool-Aid, it was sugar-free Kool-Aid or Crystal Light,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so, but when I moved to San Bruno when I was a kid, we had a 7-Eleven just like 2 blocks down the street, and so that was our daily trek. Mom, going to 7-Eleven, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And so I discovered the Big Gulp there, and but I still did. I did Diet Pepsi with a splash of Dr. Pepper. That was my go-to
Mhm.
growing up. And then when I got diagnosed with diabetes, I just went straight to Dr. Pepper. I mean, straight to Dr. Pepper because I want to kill myself. No, straight
Yeah.
to Diet Pepsi. And the Diet Pepsi changed their formula about 15 years ago. They got rid of the cancer causing agents, and it doesn't taste the same. So since then, I've been a Diet Coke drinker. If I want to be spicy every now and then, I'll splash a little bit of Dr. Pepper. But there are some 7-Elevens, and then my sister always says, I know every 7-Eleven in California, and she might be right. Um, and now that they have 7-Eleven rewards points and stuff off of gas, I'm even worse. But if I want to get a little, well, what I found is a lot of 7-Eleven soda fountains have Diet Dr. Pepper now. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah, they
which
do.
Diet Dr. Pepper is the closest thing to actual
Yep.
the the sugar version of whatever it is. So, but
I agree
yeah.
with you there. 100%. I agree with you.
But then, when I was a kid, when I was, in my 19, 20, 21, I was working at Price Club, which was now Costco.
Mhm.
Folks, youngins, there was a place called Price Club before Costco. Actually, Price Club and Costco were together, and then they merged. They all had the same colors. I think they were brothers that split up and then made up. Anyway, so, but one of the things that just I fell in love with a fountain Coke and just being busy running around getting boxes, pulling shopping carts, dealing with people at the register. If I was ever tired, just on my break, just a sip of a Coke would just, oh man. So
That's right.
that's there's nothing like a fountain Coke, but I stay away from it. So Diet Coke it is. And but I've also stayed away. I don't buy Diet Coke anymore. I mean, I don't
Mhm.
bring it into the house. So if I will only drink it when I'm out of the house. That's how I stay away from brown water. And but if I'm gonna, I do like the bubbles. I'm a bubble guy, so I do bubbly. Right. I've learned to tolerate seltzer, and I actually like seltzer now. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I'll sip on some bubbly and
Do you drink LaCroix or Perrier or
see, now I'm a
whatever?
snob. Yeah, now I'm a snob. I can do LaCroix if that's all they have, but but yeah, and Perrier, yeah, okay. And then but I've really bubbly or that Waterloo. Waterloo is
Waterloo's
not bad.
good. Yeah,
Waterloo is
Waterloo's
not
good.
bad. Yeah, but I'm also a fake water snob too. I
Yeah.
drink Aquafina and then Smart Water, and then if they don't have it, I'll drink a Dasani, and if they don't have it, then I'll drink an Arrowhead, and then I'll get to Crystal Geyser last. But I mean, everything has a taste. Avion has a taste, and I'm just can't do it.
Yeah. Arrowhead, Crystal Geyser, and Evian. Is that the last one you said?
Yeah,
That all of those taste like dirt. I'm not drinking those. I would rather be thirsty. That's where I'm at with those waters. I would stay thirsty before I would drink. Like I'd have to be like really parched to imbibe those. They're terrible. Terrible. Water's all different. I'm an Aquafina girl. I'm an
hmm
Aquafina. I like core water too with the alkaline water.
yeah. Of
That
course,
one's a
not
good
bad.
one. I like
Yeah.
core, but Aquafina is my go-to. But to be honest, Kirkland Signature is my water
Yeah,
bottle of choice
yeah,
all day,
Kirkland Signature
all
or
day. Kirkland water,
Kirkland water, Wally World water. I'm good, but mostly Kirkland water.
Kirkland water.
But and Niagara used to be pretty good, but I don't know. I haven't seen it around lately. But yeah,
Bupkis.
so yeah, but it's there's a difference. There's a difference in how it's filtered, of course,
Right,
because at the end of the day, none of them are coming from, Fiji water is from, the foothills, right? My
right.
wife is so, upset. Hey, if you know where Crystal Geyser, the bottling plant is, I mean, you pass it when you go up to
And
Inyo.
you, yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
in
I see it.
Olancha. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what's out there in Olancha, right? Death Valley, the alkali, and they're in a filter in the world that makes me feel better every time I drink a Crystal Geyser. Let me just tell you. So,
When you drink Crystal Geyser, chances are you're doing a little meth. I'm just saying for
yeah,
the
yeah,
record, you might be doing a little
yeah.
bit of meth. Don't
The
drug
residue.
test after a
Yeah.
Crystal Geyser.
Hey, look, Dan, if Crystal Geyser, if you're listening, I love you. If I'm parched and I need something,
If
I'm
I need a
there.
little pick me up, if I need a little
Yeah.
pick me up, I'll drink a Crystal Geyser.
Don't come after us. We don't have any money. Right. So, but
Uh,
yeah,
all of this allegedly.
yes.
Allegedly. Can we say if we say allegedly, it makes it better, right? Allegedly.
Yes, yes, and well, I mean, and
Allegedly.
allegedly, Arrowhead is bottled in Eagle Rock.
Right.
So there's a underground aquifer that goes to Eagle Rock. So and
Yep.
Eagle Rock's in East LA. So I mean, hey, but
Yeah.
the main point of all of this is to stay hydrated.
Right.
People,
That's true. That's true.
drink your water, and if you don't drink your water, you will have issues. And if you do drink your water, you may have to get up and pee every 30 minutes, but
Yeah.
that's just called getting old, right?
I I go through water phases where I drink a lot of water for a period of time, and then I go through periods of phases where like plain water just doesn't hit right. And so um I'm in one of those phases right now where I can't really tell. Oh, last night I did, but where I can say like I drank water throughout the day. I drink fluids, but not water. My kick lately has been iced tea, but not unsweetened iced tea. And
You
so
know,
I call that water because it's just water infused with tea bags, but it's still hydrating. And it to me, I again, I'm out in the, I live in the desert. It's hot. We're sweating all day. You have to stay hydrated. But I can chug a half gallon of iced tea in a day. But if you give me a half gallon of water, I all of a sudden I'm not thirsty anymore. I don't know. I go through these weird phases.
well, we grew up with a Alhambra water, or
Mhm.
Sparklets
Oh yeah,
water,
yeah,
in the house. My mom used to pay for it. They'd come and drop off. So
yeah.
I'm a fan
Fancy.
of water. You know what I found is any water that is tinted. I mean, even like Mio and all that other stuff that you squirt
Yes.
into it, it doesn't have the same effects for me. So
Mm.
I have to drink actual water. And when I do, I mean, it helps with my allergies. It keeps me regular. It, keeps me, you know, going when I'm out in the sun, playing tennis or gardening or whatever else it is.
Yeah.
But anything that has even just tea or anything else, I I just feel like it doesn't have the same effects. So I've
No.
learned. I know people say, "Well, hey, soda has water in it." Even my bubbly, the sparkling water. I know that to me, my body, or at least in my mind, that is not water, right? So I recognize drinking water, straight water, room temperature water. So here's the thing too,
Room
and I've had
temperature.
this conversation, right? I've learned from people on podcasts but also doctors, right? They say drinking ice cold water is not always the best for you.
Right.
Drinking ice cold water will shock your system and will not have the same effect if you are out in the heat, if you're exerting yourself, ice water will lower your body temperature. But if you're at home chilling out and just trying to stay hydrated, room temperature water, or just like you said, Kirkland. I just grabbed a thing of Kirkland and just opened it up right now and just pounded it. That is the best for your hydration state. This is what I've heard from medical professionals and also from you know, people who just stayed at a Holiday Inn Express that night. But
Yeah. I like room temperature, to be honest with you. I prefer like water bottles. I would
yeah,
prefer room temperature water over cold water. But I like my water. If I'm gonna drink water, yeah, that's my drink of choice right there.
hey,
But if
Costco hit us
I'm
up.
if I'm drinking exactly, look, I can I tell you? Well, hold on. Let me finish this thought. And I'm gonna go to the next thought about Costco. I when I drink water out of a cup, I like it with ice in a straw. That's ice in a straw. I will drink all of it. If I have to drink it like this with ice, I don't know why I don't drink it. It's habits. It's just habits and preferences. But Costco, if Costco does want to sponsor us, let me tell you, I love Costco. I, I've been again out of the States for 6 weeks. I came back and all I can think about is my next trip to Costco. Like that's all I can think about. I even ordered some stuff online so that it would be here when I got home to get like the Costco experience. I wanted to
Hmm.
see a Costco box when I got home. But I was sharing with Carl before we started recording here that I'm going to Orange County this weekend. I have a trip to Santa Ana and then I have another trip to San Clemente so I can go see Big Helen. But we usually take the train when we go to Orange County. We hop on the metro and we bring our bikes and we whatever. So my husband was like, "Do you want to take the train or do you want to drive there?" And I was like, "I would like to drive." And then he already knew. He already knew. He's like, "Because you want to go hit up all the Costco's in Orange County, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." So I'm like, because every Costco has something different. You
Hmm.
know, you can't get the same stuff at every Costco. And so I love Orange County Costco's, especially in the summertime, because they have so much beach gear. They have cute bathing suits. They have the best sunblocks. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to Costco. So that's what I have this weekend is I'm just gonna hit up every Costco in Orange County and see what they have. And I can't wait. I can't
I,
wait.
I
So yeah.
I paid my monthly tithe to Costco 2 weeks ago. So we every time I walk in there, it just the $400 just disappears from my bank account. Every time, as soon as I show my card, it's just okay. Well, there you go. Have at it.
I
But
don't even want to tell you. I don't even want to tell you what mine is, but there's
yeah,
just two of us in the house and I never walk out of there less than $600 ever.
yeah,
But we get cool stuff all the time. I'm not even going to be
yeah,
mad about it. We get super cool stuff. I'm
yeah.
looking right now. They have a cold brew cheesecake somewhere. I'm going to find me a cold brew cheesecake, and I'm going to get me my cold. We always say we're going to buy. We never buy the desserts. It's just two of us, and so we're like, oh, they have these cool desserts in the bakery. But I'm like, what are we going to do? Half of it's going to go to waste. I don't care. I'm going to gain 87 pounds. I'm going to eat a cold brew cheesecake. If I have to sit there and eat it by myself till I puke, that's what I'm going to do.
What's your favorite thing that you buy at Costco, or that you've ever bought at Costco? Or that's a okay. What's your favorite thing, and then what is when you get there? It's got to be in your bag. It ends up in your cart.
That's a really tough question. My favorite thing, because there's so many
Food,
things.
food
Food
wise.
wise,
Let's focus on food.
so uh morning buns. Morning buns from the bakery. And they're not all there all the time. Morning buns are something I get every single time they have them. And so morning buns are my jam.
Hmm.
I prefer the traditional ones over the raspberry ones because they do have raspberry ones and they're good, but they're not like as good as the original ones. And they come in like a pack of 8 or 9. I can't eat all of those before they go bad, so I put them in the freezer in tubes. And when I defrost them, which I have some on my kitchen counter right now, I put them in the air fryer for like 6 minutes on reheat. And so when they come out, they're all crispy on the outside and they're all soft in the middle. Oh, best little go with my coffee, little pastry in the morning. And I take two out. My husband and I share one. Because again, I don't want to eat a bunch of junk, but they're really satisfying and delightful. Delightful is the word I will use. So that's probably my favorite thing. But again, they don't always have it. But the thing that's always in my cart, always, is the Costco Prosecco and the Costco Prosecco Rosé every single time. And usually like 2 or 3 bottles or 12, depending on how long it's going to be before I go back. But it's like $7.50 for a bottle. And it is so good and so refreshing. I love it so much. So that's always in my cart. And the other thing I'm always looking for at Costco, and they have it sometimes, but not all the times, is they have these very thin, thin, thin cut New York steaks. They are like super thin, shaved. When they have those, I'm always buying. And then I put them in little freezer bags, which is perfect for like two people to make a quick dinner, stir fry or uh, and anything. Those are my favorite things at Costco. I'm
Cool.
not always a rotisserie chicken person because we don't
We
ever
used to be.
finish it.
We used to be.
Yeah, we used to be too. I used to be when I had the kids at home. I was always a sucker for the rotisserie chickens, but we don't really use it that often. We're not ever home long enough to eat a whole chicken. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
what about you? What's your Costco go to?
So my Costco go-to always ends up in my cart when it comes to, because we go once a month. They have a marinade for a tri-tip. They have a tri-tip, a single
Mm,
tri-tip that they marinate. And it costs a little bit more than, because usually they'll sell like double, two tri-tips for a good price. But they marinate one. The rub on it is amazing. I just did it for 4th of July. I got a Traeger for my anniversary, so it was our maiden voyage, and it was the best medium rare um, tri-tip I've ever made, and I didn't do a damn thing. Traeger did
mm,
it for me,
mhm.
but it's still good, and I have pieces of it. I'm just cutting off pieces and just kind of nibbling on it, but so yeah, I always end up getting one of those because I think they're usually between about 25 to 35 bucks depending on the size
Yeah,
of it. But my favorite thing, and I think it's just recently that I found that they did this, but it is now my favorite thing, is they have Dole Whips. From Disneyland,
yeah. I've
they
heard.
have single serving size Dole Whips, and they come in an 8 pack for $10.
Hmm.
And I will have, I try to stay away from sugar. I try, but I ain't gonna lie, but you know, um, I definitely will every now and then, you know, um, snack on one, especially after dinner or something. But
Hmm.
it tastes just like the Dole Whip, and over near the Jungle Cruise. It's a just get a little piece of Disneyland with me, and it's always so refreshing. So everyone, if you get a chance, catch a Dole Whip, right? And then
Do you? I would say, do you know I've never had a Dole Whip from Disneyland?
yeah,
Never ever.
wow. Well, now you know what you got to
I've had a
do.
Dole Whip. I've had a Dole Whip, but I had a Dole Whip from the Dole Plantation in Hawaii, in Oahu. But I've never had one from Disneyland. And can I just tell you, my trip to Hawaii is probably cheaper than a day at Disneyland. So boom,
Well,
every time.
all right, folks. So we're slumming it if we go to Disneyland. Just so y'all know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for
yeah. So
sure.
anyway, you
And you
know,
gotta deal with the kids.
get on a Dole Whip. I love those little candy s'mores that they have, but they're not good for me. Used to
Yeah.
always get that, the two for $5, the buttermilk bread.
Mm.
I'll still pop in a no spray. I mean, I can get five no sprays for the price of one, over the counter. So, um, yeah, I mean, Costco's bomb. And
Love
I'll tell you,
Costco.
it's if you're on a budget, you can do a Costco. I mean, I used to pick up my daughter when we were not, when we were really scraping by. Sometimes I just pick her up and take her to Costco. I had a membership, and we go
Yeah.
around samples and get a hot dog. And she still remembers it. She said that's the funnest thing that she did when we were kids. When we were kids, when she was a kid, that I'd pick her up and we'd go to the Costco in South City where I used to work and just go around the samples. Are we going to get samples today, Daddy?
My kids, we were a Costco family for sure. And my youngest son, Eric, had to do like a report at school one time, like where do happy families go? And he said happy families go to Costco.
Love it.
Because we do the samples too, and then I'd be like at the food court, get whatever you want, treat yourself, treat you. You want a pizza and a hot dog? Treat yourself. So yeah, we definitely were a Costco going fan. I'm a sucker for I will be broke as a joke. I can lose everything in my life. I will maintain my executive membership. I will absolutely that's a
Well,
priority for me.
well, even if you wanted to downgrade, you're not allowed to. So you have
I
once you're
wouldn't.
an executive, but once you're an executive, you're always an executive. I we found that out, because I was like, well, can we downgrade to regular? No, no, you have to still pay the executive fee. I'm like, okay, all right, well, because that's how they
I,
get you,
you know what?
so
They can have me. They got me. I'm gotten, and I'm happy about it. You will never.
uh,
Only peasants have regular cards. Okay. Do you know? I just found out, and I'm pretty excited about it. We now have executive shopping hours. You can go in the store an hour before everybody else
mhm.
now. I cannot wait to walk past and be like, uh, again, I'm not a snobby person, but I would be a snob there. Like, okay, all of you regular people, wait right there, executives only. I cannot wait. I'm so excited.
But we usually we'll get our ground beef there. But if I'm going to get pork chops, I go to grocery outlet because
Oh, I don't
here's
have one of
that's
those here.
well, so the one thing with Costco is their pork chops are like this thick,
I
and
know.
then they dry out real quick, and then my wife, doesn't eat, that type of size of pork chop, so we'd have to pare it down, and I'd rather not have to cut it. And I go to grocery outlet and I get, you know, pork chops like this and a whole like couple pounds for like 7.99. I'm like, cool, right? So
But let me
and
put you on something real
chicken
quick.
thighs too, chicken thighs. Yeah, go ahead.
Those big old fat pork chops. I like to cut a slit in the middle and make a stuffing out of apples and raisin bread and stick it in that pork chop and cook it. It
Stop it.
keeps it moist, delicious, fantastic, wonderful. I don't buy a bunch of pork chops, but if they have those big fatties, that's usually how I would cook those. But I like the little skanky pork chops, the ones that have like the little bone in them, and then I cook those with just a can of pato sauce.
Hmm.
Ooh, fall
Yeah,
off the bone like
my
I'm
wife
hungry
does this.
right now.
She does this smothered pork chops all the time. So, and I'll get my pork shoulder there because I can cut that up and
Mhm. And the
yeah,
Traeger.
I
Do you know what
can.
else you can get that will be good in your Traeger that you can get at Costco? Pork
Hmm.
belly. Pork belly.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Get
Yeah,
get
yeah,
you some
yeah,
pork belly and smoke it in your Traeger for a couple of hours, and then you take it off and you put it with in a pan with a little bit of butter. I know
yeah.
butter on a pork belly, absolutely, and some hot honey and some hot honey. I know you're trying to lose weight, but pork belly is such a delicious treat. And if you get it at
No,
Costco, you don't even have to feel bad about it because it's Costco. So it's good for you because everything from
no.
Costco is good for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. And but no, I'm not trying to lose weight, but just trying to
No, no,
stay
no,
away
but
from
being
the bad
healthy,
stuff.
like
Yeah,
yeah,
because
pork
we
belly is
used to
not
get the
something I would eat often. Pork belly would definitely not be. It's just literally like fat on fat.
yeah.
But it's delicious if you put some hot honey and some butter on it.
Well, it's whenever my wife used to get the muffins, and they say, no, you have, it's two for, so we have to go back and get a second pack. And I'm like, if we get two packs, then I'm going to eat one. And I don't want to eat that
Well,
stuff.
I'm not happy with the muffin situation. I'm not a big muffin person, anyways. Believe it or not, I've never been like when I had kids, I would buy the muffins, but I don't buy them now. But now that they're in smaller packs and they're smaller muffins, I thought, oh, that's really good for us. And so I bought them. Not the same recipe. They're not that great. I'm not a
Mm-mm.
fan. But the morning buns, 10 out of 10. And if
Yeah,
you put them in the mic, and again, pop them in the air fryer for a few seconds to warm them up, delicious.
morning buns.
So we've talked about water. We've talked about Costco. I love I
So,
love Costco so much.
and so you were talking about straws earlier. When I'm eating out, I don't use
Mhm.
the straw. So, like if I'm in the car, I'll get a soda with the top and a straw because I don't want to spill. But
Right.
if we're sitting down to eat, I don't. You will rarely see me with a straw,
I always have a
and
straw.
because I drink so fast. I mean, and so I'd rather not drink that fast. So what I found is actually no straws and me drinking from the cup helps keep me
Mm,
from drinking so much that I get full and all that stuff. So yeah.
yeah. No, I love a straw. I love a straw. I might drink fast too, but I don't care. I like a straw. If I don't, I'm a mess. I'm a hot mess in a dumpster fire. So I will spill. If it's got ice in it, I will find a way to tip the glass to have ice all down my shirt every single time. So um, I prefer with a straw. Except for beer. I drink beer out of a glass like a grown up. That's the only beverage that apparently I don't spill. But it doesn't have ice in it. I think that's the
Yeah,
thing with cups with ice is that ice is unpredictable. You know, sometimes it stays where it's supposed to be, and sometimes it comes out like a glacier, and that's where I usually get in trouble. So, if it's a beverage with ice, it's going to have a straw, and if not, then I can drink it like a grown up. I don't need a sippy cup for everything, just most things. Just most things.
just most things.
Yeah. All right. So here's another thought I had coming back from being where I was at. Like uh, I had a few thoughts. Like while I was there, I was driving into my house one day, and I was kind of like laughing. Like I don't know if people would like really believe the way that I live in real life, because I would like to think I present myself as a somewhat professional person. Um, but I just was laughing. Like, I don't know if many people know that I like literally live out in the middle of a desert. I have to drive like 3 miles down a dirt road and turn left at the next dirt road to get to my house where we're like, do we have enough power to get through the day today? How much water do we have? Do we have enough water to wash a load of laundry, or should I wait till we get water? Like, I really do live like so simply over there. And that environment, it's just funny because when I get there, it's like you just ease right into it. You
Mhm.
really just ease right into it. Like, okay, I'm here. Well, I got to check the batteries. I got to check the water. Do like we have to do critter checks. Critter checks like, are there mice? Are there scorpions? Are there snakes? In the house. Like, we got to check all of that before we like get comfortable. um, it's really quite interesting. And so I kind of settle into that. And so even like my routine there is so different because we don't have television. We made like an executive decision to not have television there. You have to entertain yourself. You got to read books. You got to talk to each other. You go outside. You walk. We do a lot of walking because we don't have a yard for the dog there. I mean, we have a yard, but not anywhere the dog can go potty. So we have to like take the dog out for walks, to go to the restroom several times a day. It's just a whole different lifestyle. And so coming back yesterday and again coming back into civilization, and I get home and checking everything, making sure the house is safe. The first thing I was like, I'm going to go take a long shower. Like just a long, where I don't have a bucket to catch the water, where I'm going to turn the air conditioner on and not worry about if my power's going to run out tonight. I was like, I got to start laundry. I go to what I have like loads and loads of laundry that I brought with me because it's just easier to do here. And it's like you settle right back into old habits. Like I've just spent 6 weeks like being like super conservative with everything. And the first thing when I come into this environment is like, can I be wasteful? Oh my God, can I just take this long shower and just stand there for 10 minutes while water hits me and not be concerned that, what's happening? I mean, that's not a good mentality to have. I guess I should be conservative everywhere, but it's crazy how quickly you go back into your old environment, and the habits that go with that environment just come with you, immediately come with you. My first thought was, what are we going to DoorDash tonight? Because I'm not cooking. Because I've been cooking. We don't have DoorDash where we're at. We don't have like anything that's like easily accessible. So we do most of our cooking at home, which I'm not complaining about. I love it. I absolutely love it. But I was already thinking, like, we're here for a couple of weeks. What do I want to DoorDash? What do I want to eat? What do I want to do while we're here? How many Costco's do I want to hit up? Like, our environment has so much impact on our behavior. Even my dog,
What?
even Dodger. Dodger doesn't bark hardly at all in Mexico. I've heard that dog bark like 3 times the whole time we've been over there. And as soon as we got
Mhm.
here, his face was in the window, barking at anything that moved. And I was like, I haven't heard this kid bark and I don't know how long, but now he's back in his environment and he's like, get off of my lawn, wind. So so it's weird. It's just it's interesting how powerful like your surroundings, your environment is on your behavior and how you act. It's kind of it was a wild acknowledgement yesterday because I think I told you as soon as I got home, I haven't had TV for 6 weeks. First thing I did was put on the TV and not even to watch anything, just to have it on. So crazy.
I
So
hear you.
crazy. Do you have any things like in your environment that as soon as you're like back in your space, it's like your go-to?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, my couch, my TV, my, my laptop, right? I mean, I have things that have to pop up or be on, my ceiling fan in my living room, right? Just, I am definitely a creature of habit. I mean, but that's who we are, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
those things. We are what we're conditioned to be and what we're used to. And it's it's definitely something that, yeah, I'll put on if nothing, I'll put on ESPN and just, or whatever, just to have something in the background, and yeah, a total has to happen. It's like, my wife, when she comes home, she goes in the room, sits on the bed and puts on YouTube and gardening videos, and so it's just like, that's, we're always thinking about how do we respond to different environments, right? So, when we're away, it's different. I hardly ever turn on my laptop or anything else. But once I'm home, it changes, right? The nature of what we're used to, what we expect changes. And so that's definitely, a challenge. And we are creatures of habit and creatures of our environment. I think that was the hardest thing that a lot of people had to deal with during the pandemic is, recognizing what works for them, what's different, how do people adjust. We've had, we talked about change a lot, but I mean, just think about, how many organizations you mentioned. I think you mentioned last episode how many organizations frowned upon working from home that have now embraced, working from home in the hybrid situation, right? And so it's just thinking about what are those things that we're used to and being comfortable with, and why do we do it, right?
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. Environment, I think, plays a huge part in so many things. Um, and there's lots of evidence. This is not just like for my own anecdotal evidence, but there's a lot of research out there talking about how so much of our behaviors and the habits that we have are tied to like the context of what we do rather than the intention. And so a lot of times if we're looking at like making improvements or changing our life or changing our habits, the first thing that we have to work on um, is changing our environment. I know you've read Atomic Habits. It's one of my favorite books. I just recommended it to a coaching client the other day working on developing some habits. Um, but environment plays such a huge piece of it. And if you change like part of the environment, then it changes you, like your unconscious habits of what you have. So even I got much love from Mr. Sean Aker. He wrote the book The Happiness Advantage, one of my favorite books, one of my favorite authors. And one of the things that he recommends in the book is about making like if you're looking to improve habits, it's not necessarily about making your new habit easier, although that's helpful, but it's like making your old habit harder. So, for the example, I like TV, like it's real easy. I grab the remote, I turn it on, the TV's now on in the background. I'm not, again, maybe consciously paying attention to what's on TV. It's just a habit of having that in the background. Um, but if my goal is to watch less TV or have less distraction and be focused, to take the remote batteries out and have the batteries be in a different place. And so if I want to watch TV, I have to make that conscious effort to go get the batteries, put the batteries in the remote, and then turn the TV on versus it just being a contextual clue because I walk into a room. And so I think that that's really kind of so important when thinking about like designing your workspace, and designing like your work environment of like what are you hoping to accomplish and how do you create that right space for what you're trying to do. I, for example, when I'm going to work, I need to have a dedicated space for working. I can't do good work at like a kitchen table. I can't do good work sitting on the couch. Like I need to have a chair. I need to have my keyboard in front of me. I have to have like my eyes have to be like ergonomically. So when I'm in Airbnbs and stuff, you should see the setup that I have to like get my laptop at the right height because I can't like I'm not one of those that can like look down and work off a laptop. I always carry an extra keyboard with me because my laptop has to be up high. So I'll have like a big mixing bowl with a freaking cutting board to lift my laptop so that it can be at the right height so I can do my work. Um, but that's important to me to have like that space, that dedicated workspace so I can focus and have like my environment right. Otherwise I'm too distracted by what's not right, like oh this feels weird, oh this isn't working, oh how come my mouse, I got to use the mouse, I can't do that, it's too much for me. I've even tried to like use the time in the car because a lot of time my husband will be driving and I'm like, oh I can sit with my laptop and get some work done since I'm just going to sit idle for 6 hours. Can't do it. I can't do it. It's not the right environment for me to be creative. I have to be in the right space. I have to have a dedicated workspace for me to be able to focus. And so, this is why I like my little office. My office here, where I'm at now, is a closet. Like literally, if I turn off my video, nobody judge me right now, but I'll show you real quick. Um, I work out of my closet. This is where I work. And it is a dedicated workspace. So I have a desk, I have space. So I'm not distracted by all of the stuff and all of the clothes that are behind me because I'm facing a wall. I have my dedicated workspace. And I know when I come in this room, if I'm not getting dressed, that I'm coming in here to work. And I get my best work done in this little closet room because it's the right environment and it's closed off. Nobody's in here. No, nobody's distracting. Nobody's talking to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, having your own space is so important. I have my own space in the living room, and it's I'm not sitting at it right now, but I needed an opportunity to be able to be away from that space. You know, it does help me focus. It does help me to get done
Mhm.
the important stuff that I need to do. But right now I'm sitting on my couch, which was interesting. Interestingly, at the beginning of the pandemic, my space for about the first
Mhm.
7, 8 months when I was teaching classes, I just put a couple pillows behind me, and like I have right now, and just sitting up and having classes. Right, but we went to IKEA and bought a table, and I got a gaming chair that's I can sit at for hours on end. And it's I like my little space. I like little enclosed spaces, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a closet. My wife has a closet, but I I it's not mine. So, but just having, the ability to just have your own dedicated space does really help. If I'm doing things where I don't necessarily have a deadline, or I know I'm going to be at it for a while and I have some time, I'll sit on the couch. Sometimes I'll lay on the couch. I was on the couch the last week or so grading papers. Right, I was it was my class, my conflict resolution class that I teach just
Mhm.
finished on Sunday, and so I spent all day Monday and part of yesterday grading papers, filling out grade request forms, and stuff like that. But I did it all the way through. I'm actually proud of myself. I stayed on top of it and was grading as things came in because, um, how it is with virtual classes. If something's due on the 6th, then everyone's going to wait till the 5th or the 6th. And then I didn't want to, Monday, Tuesday to be too stressful. And it wasn't, but I was able to really, and then I was also able to have thoughtful responses to folks, which is I think is more meaningful. I mean, if you're going to get a class, you might as well have a very present teacher, as present as an asynchronous class can be. So I was on my couch grading papers, right? And that which was fine. I was in the emergency room grading papers on my phone, which wasn't as fine because I didn't download the Canvas app like I wanted to, so the frames from the Canvas for Sac State did not match my phone, and that was just annoying. But um, yeah, just thinking about when I don't have everything that I need, or when it's not exactly right, it does cause some of that, just a little bit of cognitive dissonance, in terms of,
Hmm.
so I could be doing something else. It could be, what's missing, and that's
Yeah.
that's it's easy to do. It's easy to do in any space, right? It's easy to be distracted in any space, especially with your work environments. If your work environment, if you're in person and you're working, this is very timely for a lot of folks, some of our followers and subscribers that um, are coming back to the office, especially if you're a state employee. I know they put a hold on some of them, but there's a lot of folks who are coming back in just this week and next week. And so just recognizing, how does your space work for you? How do you keep your space yours, and how do you focus in those situations, right? I, I can tell you one of the biggest issues I faced when I was working for the county was that my workspace, my cubicle was right, was the last one in the main walkway.
Hmm.
And um, if you walked past my cubicle, the break room was straight ahead, and the bathrooms were right here. So every time somebody had to go to the bathroom or went to go load up, make their lunch, they'd always stop and want to talk to me or say hi, even in the morning, just 17 different highs. How are you? As they're putting their lunches in the fridge. And so that was a tough one. That was a tough piece of, your environment. Every time you're interrupted, it takes you anywhere from 5 to 24 minutes to get back to the same level of focus you were at before you were interrupted. Right. Just think about how often that happens.
Right.
How often that
Right.
happens just when you're in your workspace and people just, hey, how are you? How was your weekend? You're going to bring your shoes? Are we going to walk around the building? Okay. Yeah. What's for lunch? Just those little conversations, 10-second conversations. Okay. Where was I? And how often do those things happen? Right. At work.
Right.
You don't even need to be the most social person. But if you have, that one or two people that you're social with, sometimes those conversations are even longer and deeper. Right.
Right.
They say the average American uh, is unfocused at work 2.5 hours a day.
Hmm. Yep.
Right? So how do we manage that?
Yeah. Well, I really think again, the setting up the right environment matters. And environment is not just like your physical space, but it's your mental space. It's who's around you. Um, I know like when I've worked with people who are like focused and like on schedule and like invested and engaged, I will probably follow that same pattern. And when I get put around people who want to shoot the shit and talk all day, like count me in, you know?
Hmm.
So it's like, it's not just like your workspace, which again, workspace absolutely matters, but it's also like, who do you spend time with? Who do you choose to spend time with? Um, we talk about our mutual friend, although she's my bestie and she's your acquaintance, but um, we've known each other for 15 something years. And when we met each other, we were both really young and like trying to kind of forge our way in a professional environment, not necessarily knowing what that looked like. And I have to admit, like we didn't always like lift each other up and say like, how can you do better or whatever. We got stuck in that 2.5 hours of like blaming, moaning, and whining and complaining and tattling and judging and venting about people. And so like that environment was not always healthy. And I probably wouldn't change it now. But, as we have talked about, like now, looking back at that time, we always like, what would life look like for us now if we had been different with each other, right? Instead of calling each other up, instead of just commiserating. And if we wouldn't have spent so much time complaining and blaming other people about our circumstances, if we had switched that into something where, like, what can we do? Where can we be productive? Where can we make a difference? Like, where would we be in life? I don't think the world's ready for that. I don't think the world would be ready for where we would be if we didn't go through that phase. But it's really interesting because your environment is also like who you choose to spend time with. And it's a choice, right? You don't always have a choice of your coworkers, but you do have a choice of who you give your time to. So if I have someone that in my environment where I know like the trigger is this person shows up and we start bitching and moaning about everything that's wrong, like how do I maybe not make so much space for them in my environment so that I can be, unless that's what I want to do. I'm not going to judge if that's what you want to do is, you know, complain and blame and moan. Like if that's your jam, that's your jam. Um, but what I am saying is like if my goal is to be productive, if my goal is to improve things, if my goal is to be solution focused, then I also have to choose the people that are going to be in my environment that inspire that behavior versus something different. And so I wouldn't necessarily choose, 2010 bestie. I definitely choose her today because we're in a different space. So when I'm like, hey, I have this challenge or I have this thing, well, what can you do? Let's brainstorm, let's figure things out. Like that's what keeps me grounded now. Um, but I choose that, right? I choose that. And I choose not to give so much energy to the people who are consistently negative. I choose to like flip that conversation to the point where either they don't bother me anymore or they know that it's going to be solution focused. And so I think people are really big when it comes to your environment as much as it is space.
And choosing the people that you want to be around. What if you want to be around those people that are causing you distractions? So, I mean, and the distractions aren't always bad. I mean, I worked with your
Right.
bestie, as an acquaintance, but I mean, actually I was
That's
her
right.
boss technically,
That's
right?
right.
But we would spend many, 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 many hours, just because our cubicles were across the way from each other. And, we would just talk strategy or just talk about environment or complain about, a coworker that, we
You don't
had
even have to say, I
mutual.
already know. I already
Yeah.
know.
And so, I know you did. Right. And so but it was also something that I know it helped us to be able to get through that. But like you said, if that becomes your MO, if that becomes how you manage things, how how um how unproductive are we, right? So, I talk about this when I talk about time management, right? And I had a coworker one time. She came in to the break room and she had this white piece of paper with a. This is not white, but you know what I'm saying. She had a white piece of
Yeah.
paper with a red circle and a slash and a black hand in it. And she came into the break room because we all used to eat our lunches together. I mean, I had a work family, where I was working, and it was we were very close, but we could get unproductive. And she said, "So I want y'all to know I love you. You guys are the reason that I come to work every morning." And and we have great conversations and we talk and we laugh and we have a good time. But sometimes all that talking and laughing makes me not be, ruins my time management. I'm cramming, I'm late, I'm not turning stuff in the way I'm supposed to, and I get cranky and I snap. I snap at you guys sometimes, I snap at home. I don't want to be that person anymore. So when this sign is up, and she had Velcro and she put the Velcro strips on the other side and put it on her cubicle
Mhm.
because it was a cloth cubicle. She said, when that sign is up, I would like for you guys to respect that sign and just know that as much as I want to talk to you, I can't.
Right.
Right. Now, if you disrespect the sign, if you don't care and you want to come sit down and talk to me, we will have a great conversation and we will talk and laugh it up and yuck and everything else that we need to do. And then when you leave, I'm going to resent you and I'm going to resent myself. for having that conversation. So please, if you've ever said that you loved me, honor that sign for me and my mental health. And so, you know what? We did. And all of us came up with other things. Our our uh, our executive admin, or our admin, hi Mama Judy, love you. She used to have this peanuts thing that said the doctor is, Lucy, the doctor is in, the doctor is out. And if the doctor was in, she could talk to you. The doctor was out, she was busy, right? And so I took the sign that my coworker made, excuse me, put it on my cubicle. Our our child care specialist, he had a duck system. It was like 1 to 4 ducks, right? And one, he wasn't, you were approachable. 4 ducks, he couldn't. I didn't care if I saw a duck up in his cubicle, I just left him alone, right? So, but just thinking about that, we all had opportunities to respect each other's wishes. And so if you if somebody is your one of your people, because we need people, right? If we
Right,
have at least
right.
one person at work that we can connect with and confide with when we need to and let our hair down, and they can provide us, empathetic, non-judgmental support, we'll stay longer and we'll be more productive. But if that's one of your people and we're just getting into things, and when we need some time alone, they will respect that. Hopefully, if they're truly your
Well,
people
yeah.
and they're there for you, they will respect your wishes, right? And so that's definitely an important thing to remember.
Yeah. And that's part of controlling the environment. Trust and believe. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, oh, I never moan, whine, and complain. I absolutely do
Yeah.
because I'm a human being, right? And so there's a time and a place, but this is where it's like controlling your environment. Who do you spend time with? Um, there are times where I connect with people where I might say, I just need a bitch session. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I just need to complain. I'm not going to do anything about it. I just want to get it off my chest and feel like I we can all recognize that this is not ideal, right? And maybe what I'm looking for is some sympathy. And I'm like, yes, your life sucks for you. It sure does. Okay, good. Done. Moving on. And there are other times where I'm like, okay, this is becoming distracting for me. I'm not at my best. I need you to give me some time so I can like let me figure out what I can do or where I'm going to figure things out. I absolutely believe there has to be space for socialization in workplaces. I don't think anybody like can work in where you're working with people where you're just like, you know, nails to the keyboard or being set. Look at people who work in call centers where all they do is take call after call after call after call, and there's no space for them to like connect and talk to each other.
High
I've
turnover.
never met, yeah,
Yeah.
I've never met someone from a call center who's like, oh my God, my life is so amazing. I can't wait to get to work. I love my coworkers. Like it's just not the reality. So I agree with you. Like having that space to be able to like turn and say, I need a brain break. I just need to socialize for a minute. Are you watching The Last of
Yeah.
Us? Like
Hmm.
what did you think about the last episode? Or, you know, what do
I
you
didn't
think
like it.
about you didn't like it?
No,
Oh,
not
sorry.
the
I'm
last
afraid.
episode.
Yeah, don't get me started. But like, did you get the new Costco book? Did you see what's on sale? Did you see the did you see that the Shark Fan is $50 off right now? I'm really excited about that. So I don't think that necessarily it's about, I think it's a necessary thing for many people. But like you said, having the ability to say, I need some uninterrupted time to work and I love you all, but I need you to leave me alone for a bit. I think that's where you create the environment that you need to be successful.
This concludes part one of our episode. Stay tuned for part two, coming Tuesday to all major podcast platforms.